This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Welcome on. It is Friday. I am First Alert Meteorologist Evan Thomason. Welcome on to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. It is smooth sailing into the week. Well, not really. I just like to think of ourselves as, really clamping down on this work week. This is a long work week, at least for me, for some reason. But anyways, we're down to Friday. It's the last day of the work week. The weekend is ahead here for Saturday and Sunday. We are, let me stress this out, we are not smooth sailing here into the weekend, although I will say that it doesn't look awful here in the ArkLaTex here between today and tomorrow morning, but there are certainly some things to watch out for here in the ArkLaTex, and certainly areas to watch out for here around us. So be prepared to watch out for the weather. We got severe weather covering most of the nation between tonight and tomorrow morning. Most of that does not include us, thankfully. We'll get into that forecast here for you coming up momentarily. But we have a lot in store here. We have a lot going on in the weather, essentially, in the ArkLaTex here for the day today. We got a lot going on nationally that we're going to talk about as well. So we're talking about both the local weekend forecast. We'll go into that full ArkLaTex forecast. And then, as we normally do on Friday, we'll be talking about what's happening regionally around us. And what's happening regionally around us is severe weather coverage. We're talking tornado outbreak. Yes, using the word tornado outbreak, which means it is likely that it is going to happen, mainly just to areas barely off to our east. We'll get into which specific areas we're talking about, coming up better on a map. It's better explained kind of on a map rather than just my words. But essentially, we're talking a huge, vast kind of area, either getting hit by storms, severe storms at that tonight, or tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be bonkers, quite frankly, and probably one of the worst severe weather instances that we could see all spring long for the nation as a whole. Yes, I'm putting it up there because I've seen some impressive stuff on some future tracks outside of the ArkLaTex. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with, but other people are going to be dealing with. All right, for those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for watching here on your last day of the work week. Hello. Just want to mention you guys again in particular for the sake of for the fact that you do get to chat with me live on air. If you chat with me live on the YouTube page, I can respond to your comments. I can also respond to your questions if you have any questions live on that chat. I will be checking that out throughout the probably not during the forecast, especially the first forecast, but I'll be trying to look at it when I can here throughout the day today. For those of you watching on KSLA.com, sit back, relax. We're going to go into our local weather forecast. There is a lot going on here for the day today. Before I even I have so many graphics to show you guys for things that are happening in the ArkLaTex here for the day today. Let me just sum it up here for you real quick. I know this is going to be a little bit of a jumbled mess, but that's the case in point of what's happening here in the ArkLaTex. First of all, you see the cloudy skies. On our window world camera in Texarkana, you know things are not just a bright, beautiful, blue sky, sunny day here for Friday around here. We're dealing with strong winds. We have the chance for storms. We have slightly cooler temperatures. We have fire weather potentially to deal with. We have a big dry air mass coming into the western half of the ArkLaTex here for today. That's just everything that's changing around here. Bonkers. We have a whole lots of different various weather conditions kind of compacted together in certain areas of the ArkLaTex here for your Friday. And we're just essentially all over the place. So let me stress this out as a whole. Pay attention to where you are. Pay attention to where you are because, you know, on a usual day, I could say the ArkLaTex is completely sunny or everybody's getting rain. That is not the case for today. We're kind of giving specific forecasts for specific areas all around the region here for the ArkLaTex. So for Texarkana, we have cloud cover here right now. And I believe that's the same case for Shreveport, although it's certainly looking a little more gloomy, especially on the horizon there, but kind of a similar picture. We're not seeing a whole lot of sunshine coming on through here for your day today. Here are your main headlines. This is what we're keeping you first alert about for today, specifically this early afternoon and for tomorrow morning. Yes, this also includes areas of the ArkLaTex for Saturday morning too. We're windy. I wouldn't say sunny. We're cloudy obviously right now. I think we'll get some sunshine here later on this afternoon and into the region still here for tomorrow morning too. But that's also going to come with some isolated stray thunderstorms, some of which could be severe. Even though the chance for storms is low, those low chance of storms that we could have could and are likely to be severe. So don't underestimate the tiny rain chance here for the day today. Just because again it's low. That just means most of us are going to stay completely dry here for Friday and Saturday, which is good. But how do those of you that do receive those little tiny showers here, they could be cause for concern. And I will say some areas are more likely to receive those storms, those stray bits of storms, compared to others. We'll talk about that also coming up. It is windy everywhere. It is going to be a windy Friday. Some of that wind also continues into tomorrow as well. Then for the rest of the weekend, especially once we get into Saturday, I'd probably say around the early afternoon hours of your Saturday, pretty much right past lunchtime. We have sunshine and blue skies for the rest of the weekend. That includes Saturday afternoon. That includes all of Sunday. It's certainly going to be a lot less of a gloomy weekend this weekend compared to last one. You just have to watch out for tomorrow morning because that still could be a little troublesome in some areas. All right, let's take a look at the current First Alert Doppler radar here for you. And I'll go ahead and remove my face there so you can see the whole thing. We got nothing to watch out for right now, which is good, but we're watching for the formation of those storms that we'll be looking at the future track a little bit later. Most of those storms are forming later on today. Here are those winds. 20 miles an hour wind in Shreveport and Texarkana currently. 21 in Mansfield. Notice where the wind's coming from? The south. This is a warm wind, although this is a warm wind providing a lot of moisture, which is giving us the cloud cover as well. But essentially, our temperatures are hanging around pretty warm. Warmer than yesterday even in for the early morning hours. This is actually not even the graphic I wanted to use, but I'll go ahead and pull up the... since I see this readily available, this is the feels like temperature, which is pretty much similar to the actual temperature here for the day today. As soon as it loads up, it is loading. There we go. 72 in Shreveport is the temperature right now. 69 in Natchitoches. 68 for Texarkana. 65 in Queen. So nice warm morning. We're not going to warm up, I don't think, as much here for tomorrow or for this afternoon compared to yesterday. Most of that's going to be due to the cloud cover around, but still going to be a little toasty around here for the ArkLaTex. Now, let's get into some of the things that are happening that are causing some weather alerts around the ArkLaTex. Again, I mentioned it was very windy, and it is an incredibly windy day around the entire region. But some of the strongest winds that we can expect are underneath this wind advisory, which is in effect for most of northeast Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and areas of southwestern Arkansas, including Little River County, next to Texarkana. Essentially, we're watching out for, again, the strongest winds in these areas, but I'm expecting winds to be pretty strong overall, regardless, throughout the entire region here in the ArkLaTex. So that's in effect all the way from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. tonight. On top of that, we also have a red flag warning. I haven't discussed this too much yet. First of all, before I go into detail on what it's about, notice how it's in effect for the same exact counties as the wind advisory, which is probably not a coincidence. We have the strongest winds in those areas, and in that area as well, we have very dry conditions. We have incredibly low humidity levels found in the northwestern corner of the ArkLaTex, and this is yet polar opposite of what's going to happen later on today when our chances of rain mainly target northwest Louisiana. So again, this is part of what I'm saying. This kind of refers back to earlier. This is what I meant to say. This kind of refers to earlier of where you need to pay attention to where you live. Because if you're Mount Pleasant, you got to be watching out for the fire weather threat here for the day today. Obviously, just don't burn anything. Just don't burn anything. That's probably the best thing to do in this kind of scenario. Meanwhile, if you're in Natchitoches, you have the slight chance of severe weather on the other end of the equation. So kind of just depends on what's happening around your vicinity. All right, here is the IR satellite picture. I just so you know, I also updated this like 2 to 3 hours ago. So most of this low pressure system is out now, probably more towards the New Mexico Texas border. I'm actually going to remove myself here just for a moment. You can see the full picture into the ArkLaTex. We're seeing a little line already starting to form. Look at that. Right in the southwest corner of Missouri. That's the kind of line of storms that we're watching out for here today for the national severe weather outlook and picture. But I want you to, we'll talk about that more later. But look how huge this system, that's another thing to watch out for. This goes all the way up into Canada through Montana with some storms. You can see some of those high cloud tops with those oranges and yellows you see there. You also see some moisture rotating in behind this system through Arizona and New Mexico. This system is moving like a freight train eastward. And even though we're not getting the severe weather aspect from this system at all, thankfully, and maybe a little bit of a miracle that we're dodging this bullet, we're still getting so many impacts from the system entirely, including the wind. You can see the loop on this IR satellite, how quickly our clouds are moving across our atmosphere. And again, for the day today, we're staying incredibly windy everywhere. I know there's differences between different sides of the region here in the ArkLaTex, but everywhere staying windy, and everyone is going to be cooling down. This is a cold front that's going to be impacting everybody. Our temperatures by Sunday are down into the 60s. I'll go ahead and tease that there for you. So again, for everyone, we're getting cooler temperatures and we're getting windy conditions. Now, the difference between our two sides of the region is the dry air mass from the severe weather one. Which are essentially on two ends of the ArkLaTex. We have severe storms that are looking to form in northwestern Louisiana that we'll look at in the future track in just a moment. Meanwhile, on the western side of the ArkLaTex, and again, as I mentioned, northeast Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Arkansas, we have essentially fire weather warnings and red flag warnings in effect due to unusual, incredibly dry atmosphere around there, filled with incredibly dry air, is more kind of the lingo, the better thing to say there. So yeah, we have incredibly dry air on the west side of this with the strong winds, which is really prompting our fire weather alerts here for the day today. All right, so I have two different future tracks for you to look at. This is the first one, because I know our future track, remember, back from Wednesday, honestly didn't do that well of a job. So let's go ahead and get multiple looks at some future tracks here and see if we can kind of decipher what's going to be happening here over the next several days. I'm taking a quick look at YouTube just for the moment, just to see if I have any comments, which I don't, and that's all right. So I'm going to keep on going here once I get back to my graphics here. All right, we got control back. All right, let's go by this future track kind of hour by hour here. The storms start to form around 1:30. Again, keep in mind, these stay isolated and stray storms. It looks like they're forming around, according to this future track, they're forming around the Texas-Louisiana border, and then they continue to sharply move up east and north to where we get up by 3, 4 o'clock. We do have severe storms. That's where it's shaded in those, even a pink cell that you see there south of Natchitoches, but we're still getting some very intense, heavy rainfall in those areas, and some strong winds underneath that rain. This is mainly in effect for Natchitoches here later on today and maybe out towards Minden. I think the farthest west these storms could go is around Shreveport. You're looking at Shreveport the whole time. Maybe this rain might clip you, but that's why we're talking just about only stray chances of rain here for the most part today. Overall, Natchitoches probably has the best chance of getting wet weather here for this afternoon, but it's only Natchitoches. I mean, you look at the rest of the ArkLaTex, severe weather is only hitting Natchitoches, and then it's moving eastward. Most of those storms are trying to develop and strengthen going outside of the region, out towards the Monroe area, essentially in northeast Louisiana, away from the ArkLaTex. But that's wave number one. We're watching out for two separate waves here. Wave number one, again, hits this afternoon. Wave number two hits tomorrow morning. That's why we need to watch out for Saturday. This provides a brief shot of some rain here. It looks like early first thing in the morning tomorrow around the northern half of the ArkLaTex. But watch Natchitoches have another kind of, Natchitoches and areas around northwest Louisiana have another stray chance at some of these intense kind of cells forming right on top of them right around lunchtime. before the cells definitely move out by the early afternoon hours. And then we're done for good. We're done for good. Once we're done for good, early afternoon on Saturday, we're done for the rest of the weekend. And we can enjoy a beautiful Sunday. Sunday, affirmative, we're not going to have any rain on that day. Here's another look at another future track. This one kind of treks on to... I don't like this future track just, for intensity too much, but this kind of just tries to pinpoint where we could have chances of rain here for the day today, which kind of makes sense. Eastern half of the ArkLaTex has that greater chance for some stray showers in for the early afternoon hours before that round goes away. Then we get round number 2 working in, again, which could affect anywhere in the ArkLaTex here for tomorrow morning, including areas up by Texarkana and the Queen, which is good. Actually, that kind of helps resupply some moisture to that region after they're under those fire weather warnings here for this morning. Then we have that little chance for severe weather maybe around lunchtime, around Natchitoches, but you could tell the greater shades of thicker red and heavier red and darker red. That's the word I was searching for. All that darker red shade indicating those severe thunderstorms, again, well off to our east. That is the key here for this system, which is good news for us here in the ArkLaTex. The main chance of severe weather, yes, is away from here. We'll affirm that with you from what's provided from us in the Storm Prediction Center. We are under a marginal risk, technically, for a slimmish chance of severe weather, mainly across northwestern Louisiana for this afternoon and maybe into this evening as well. You look into, again, areas off to our north and east, certainly greater chances of severe weather. We'll look at that a little bit further in our national weather look. Another thing, though, we're under a marginal risk for areas of northwest Louisiana, yet the areas that are essentially aren't under a marginal risk are under the chance for fire weather risk. These are the areas that were under that red flag warning, the areas that have a critical level. Areas like Mount Pleasant and Idabel have a critical level. We have more of an elevated or a slim chance of fire weather across Texarkana and most of our East Texas counties, including a small chance at southwestern Arkansas. Again, it's just we're having such contrasted weather. We're pretty much right in between two extremes, between the severe weather way off to our east and the extreme fire weather, which includes incredibly dry air and strong winds just off to our west. If you notice, that pink shade indicates severe chances of fire weather, mainly across areas of central Texas and central Oklahoma, just off to our west. So if you haven't been looking at Shreveport, say, the entire time, I think you're in the best spot, honestly, because we're away from the fire weather risk, and going back to the day one outlook, you're just on the better edge of this marginal risk, away from the severe weather as well. So I consider ourselves to be incredibly lucky with how this situation is really occurring. So that's day one. Let's look at day two, which is kind of similar, where it puts us, again, right on the edge. We have greater chances for severe weather tomorrow, mainly for areas farther south than what we're expecting here for the day today. But the point is, again, both the severe weather risks are off to our east. There's one difference I want to pinpoint here, and that is the slight risk. We do not really have a slight risk in the ArkLaTex today. We do have one for tomorrow morning. That's going to be in effect for Natchitoches up in Ruston, which, if you remember from our last First Alert Weather Day on Wednesday, we did have a slight risk across most of the ArkLaTex, which prompted our First Alert Weather Day. So there is this little chance for severe storms, especially across Natchitoches and Ruston. There is even a marginal risk for the slimmest chances of severe weather for Magnolia and Shreveport. As I said, lots to go over with this forecast. All right, we're at the tail end of this. Let's talk temperatures. Lower 80s here for today. Again, the cold part of the cold front coming on through is affecting everybody. So we're slightly cooling on down for today, cooling a little more on down here for Saturday with that slim chance of rain tomorrow morning before we have a dry rest of the weekend. Sunday's looking amazing, but look at the high on Sunday, 69 degrees. That's really the peak of the cool air. We'll start to warm up a little bit in the next week. I think we'll be pretty lucky for next Monday's forecast on St. Patrick's Day. Partly cloudy skies with 74 degrees here for us in the ArkLaTex. Lastly, 7-day forecast. It's 81 here today, down to 69 on Sunday, back up to 80 on Tuesday before getting down to highs in the 60s on Thursday. Unfortunately, yes, temperatures are on a bit of a roller coaster. Hopefully you can hang in there, and that's going to be something to pay attention to each and every day almost, is the temperatures. because, again, they're going to be fluctuating quite a bit. Meanwhile, chances of rain, 20% chance for this afternoon, 20% chance for early tomorrow morning. I don't like my chances with 20% chance. That's much less than 50. That essentially means the bulk of the ArkLaTex is not going to see any rain at all. We're going to remain dry and for the next several days through mostly Wednesday. Wednesday's our next chance of rain, and even then it's at 20% chance, and I'm not even convinced by that chance of rain middle of next week either. I will say we are receiving some greater rain signals into the 12-day forecast just past next work week. Looks like the following weekend, unfortunately, could pose a rain chance, but we'll see. That's way long a ways, and we'll worry about that next week. What a forecast. I went for, 15, 20 minutes. Just a lot going on here locally. There's a lot more, again, going regionally as well. We're going to try to provide a kind of a quick outlook as to what you can look forward to in our national and regional travel forecast here for your weekend. Coming up after a quick commercial break, I'm going to take a drink of water. Oh, man. All right. So, yeah, we're going to take a look regionally at what areas are actually getting for that severe weather risk here between, again, Friday and Saturday. We'll look more into that coming up after this. Stick with us. Welcome back to First Alert with a Breakdown. Sorry for those of you waiting a little bit longer in the commercial break on our live stream. Sorry about that. I'm still trying to get everything together. I was trying to provide a brief note, actually, to weather team. We're trying to get our own thoughts together and kind of collectively see exactly what's going to happen with our own little local chance of severe weather again, because it's a fine line, especially with what's going to happen to this afternoon and tonight and the other round into tomorrow morning. You saw the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, a severe outlook. It's a fine line to if severe weather is actually going to happen, mainly between Natchitoches and Ruston. That's the main areas we're watching out for. If anything's going to happen, it's probably going to happen around there. I'm not really concerned about severe storms anywhere else, but there could be a chance something fires up and gets severe, unfortunately, in between Natchitoches and Ruston here for the day today, and we're trying to decipher it. I was trying to text my weather team trying to decipher that. Anyways, put that on pause. Come back to you guys here on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Let's get a look regionally at what this severe threat is, because it is huge here between tonight and tomorrow afternoon. Thankfully, here in the ArkLaTex, again, most of our severe weather storms are off to our east. Most of our severe weather fire risk is off to our west. Us in the ArkLaTex, as I said, consider yourself lucky. including myself. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to zoom out right now. You can see the formation of one of these lines of severe weather even on the tail end of this IR satellite picture forming in western Arkansas and southwestern Missouri. Essentially, again, just outside of the ArkLaTex. So, yeah, again, one of the reasons I consider us lucky here for the day today. So, zooming in on that for our first alert Doppler radar, nothing looking severe here for the moment, but you see it is a line of strong storms well off to our north, obviously. Fayetteville, Springfield, that's nowhere near here in the ArkLaTex. Our radar is still completely dry here locally, but again, regionally, oh man, this is going to be a huge issue. Moving on forward. Let's see if yes, I can. All right. So we're going to take this future track and zoom this, again, way out. I think that's all I can zoom out for now. All right. So, again, this is the future track here. You see the lines start to slowly form more and more this afternoon. Again, this is where that line comes to play just locally. Just a real quick local note. This is where that line pretty much forms around Natchitoches between 3 and 5 p.m. And the question is, does it become severe by that point? Because most of the severe chances develop around areas of Missouri, around St. Louis and Illinois, all the way down into northern Mississippi here for tonight. That picture right there on your future track is where most of the severe weather is. I know this is a little vague here on the future track regionally. But then you get into tomorrow morning. It's the same thing where the severe weather kind of just develops barely outside of the ArkLaTex, but now you're watching out for severe threats from Mississippi into Alabama, including southern Louisiana. New Orleans also under the severe risk for tomorrow, and a good portion of Baton Rouge, too, just outside of our region. And that'll continue to move eastward as we continue on. I'm going to do one last thing before getting a good look at the SPC. I'm going to try to pull up, actually, another... where is it? Yeah, I'm going to try to pull up another weather model here and zoom out on this. So look at this picture. This is a picture at 5:30. Sorry about the bundled towns right there, because this is mainly just supposed to be a local future track, but I'm using this kind of regionally here. You can see how impressive this system gets to be here into the long-term future. We're looking at strong systems pushing on by, especially late tonight. Look at Chicago around midnight. That's going to be disgusting, with the whole line and band of storms extending all the way again down to northern Mississippi and northern Alabama here for late tonight. That's the first thread. Second one starts to develop a lot more tomorrow afternoon. It picks up right where it left off. Looks like we could have some flash flooding concerns across Kentucky, Tennessee, and then look into Mississippi and Alabama. That's where some of those cells come on and trek on through, including southeastern Louisiana here for tomorrow afternoon. All right, so I want to just show you one more thing here before we go ahead and toss it on over or end this episode real quick. Oh, man. So, the severe risk here, again, here locally in the ArkLaTex, low. But here is our main severe weather risk, and you don't see this often. You do not see moderate severe weather risks often at all. That is a high chance. Just so you know, to give you reference here for those of you watching the ArkLaTex, if you remember our tornado event that happened for 4 hours last Tuesday, I remember the tornado coverage we had on KSLA News 12. That was under enhanced risk, which goes all the way from, that's in that brown tan. That's not even for the red tan. That goes all the way from Nebraska and Iowa and Illinois all the way down as far south as Jackson in Mississippi. It even kind of clips just the littlest bit of corner of northeast Louisiana, it looks like, too. Then, in for tomorrow, that severe risk is probably going to hit a little more closer to home. Again, Natchitoches is under that slight risk for severe weather, but it looks like that enhanced risk just stays far enough out to our east and south, out towards Monroe and Alexandria, and that red shade is all over New Orleans, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and even into areas of Pensacola on the west side of Florida as well. Huge chance of severe weather again between Friday, Saturday. We even have a chance of severe weather along the East Coast on Sunday. Granted, it doesn't look as prominent as what's coming here for Friday and Saturday, but still wild. Still wild to think about. So stay weather aware with us here at KSLA News 12. Again, thankfully, it looks like most of the severe weather here in the ArkLaTex should be fine. We should get by just fine compared to certainly, as we just discussed, areas off to our east. So if you're traveling east, be aware. It's going to be bad. It's looking likely that it's going to be bad around there. Yeah, so thankfully, things are looking better here in the ArkLaTex. We're lucky. We are lucky for certain. I'm going to go to YouTube real quick, see if you have any questions, then I'm going to go ask the screen. Chris asks, what website do you use to forecast? We use several different sources. We use our weather graphics, which provide us with lots of information. Some of those are just auto-generated. Other graphics that we have to create ourselves, and we use that from some of the data from the National Weather Service. Great question. National Weather Service, we're great partners with. They provide forecasts for everything. Not going to lie, National Weather Service kind of nerds out in their forecasts for the most part, especially when they're trying to do like forecast discussions. But it's what we're here for. We're here to kind of, in a way, dumb it down. Simple talk. Simple talk is the best way to kind of call it for us here in the ArkLaTex. All right. So again, stay weather aware. Actually, for those of you here in the ArkLaTex, again, we do have a fire weather watch, or fire weather warning and red flag warning. Again, for those of you in northeast Texas here for the day today, southeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Arkansas. Meanwhile, chances of severe weather, brief and though small, there's a chance for severe weather across northwest Louisiana, mainly across Natchitoches and areas of Ruston too. So, wild. Just wild weather event. We'll see what happens. We'll see what unfolds here in the next couple of days, mainly for areas off to our east. You have a great weekend. Again, once we get by this last little threat that could linger in the ArkLaTex as late as lunchtime on Saturday, once we're past lunchtime Saturday, enjoy your beautiful weekend. And tune back into First Alert Weather Breakdown next week. Our next episode will be Monday. Obviously, we're off for the weekend. Next episode will be Monday at 10:30. Guess what? A little bit of surprise for that day. We're going to have meteorologist CJ Cartledge hosting that day. And I'm actually going to save kind of the topic we'll have for early next week until he introduces it himself on Monday of next week. It's a good one. Kind of some big changes happening to the First Alert Weather Breakdown actually for a little bit of time. He'll share with you why coming up early Monday, 10:30. Again, CJ Cartledge will be your host for that show on Monday. You look forward to him. So he'll be great. Looking forward to him having more of a prominent role actually in the First Alert Weather Breakdown, which is really cool. Anyways, thanks for watching here on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. 10:30 Monday is our next episode. You be there, be square. Most importantly, again, be weather aware. Have a fantastic weekend, and just watch out for those few storms, especially in northwest Louisiana, and have a good one. Peace out.